Alright folks, we have got another escape. This is the brand new one on Melee Brawl, I believe it's called. This is all about breaker maces. Pipes are actually in the game, and it's all about using melee based characters from my experience to get through to the end of the hive. Now I've been trying to master all of the escapes. We didn't actually manage to get top 5% here, we got top 6%, so we may or may not do another run. I would advise, if you're playing Emil, you don't really need the bubble shield card. I could have taken that off for a sort of purple team scorecard. Basically what we've got going on is we've got Lanny with the sort of Venom style cards. Max just got his bleed cards. If you didn't know, because this game tells you absolutely nothing, and I'm still learning all about this PvE stuff, because for some reason TC don't explain anything in this game according to PvP. Well, a lot of cards apply to other things, so active damage will apply to, say, snipers, even if it doesn't say precision weapon. Max bleed card, Max Venom cards applied to his like melee damage, and all of this weird stuff goes on. So I've decided to go for Emil because he has bleed and that will make the pipe bleed. Lanny is obviously like can hard carry any escape, especially when she gets into Venom. She's a beast. I actually want to level her up and play. And Max useful with his bleed, and you know, sort of he also has Venom cards. So what we did was we went down the right hand side first, and we sort of cleared up this hive. And just to note, this hive took, I think it was like 3 or 4 goes. It wasn't a very difficult hive. The previous one was much more difficult. This is quite a comfortable one. And I recommend, if you are going for that top score, to put on a few scorecards, because you don't need all of the damage and safety cards that you would need in a much harder sort of escape. So down here is like the first kind of rough section, or I guess you would say rough area. Basically, Amargos on this hive have freezing bullets, and if they catch you out, they will freeze and they will kill you. Basically, in sort of one shot. So if you see any Amargos, you can take it slow. Also to note, the Venom in this is very slow. It doesn't have faster Venom, I don't believe, and or even if it does, I can't truly remember. I probably should remember before I hit record, but yeah, I can't remember. There's no sort of risk to staying in the Venom on this hive. Some hives you play and, you know, you're desperately trying to push through and you're constantly getting pincered. On this, we basically played it very, very slowly. There's insins, there's flashbangs, and basically all you're going to need to remember is pick up your grenades when you see them and pick up a shock. There's basically one really important shock that you need to find. So keep an eye out if any enemies drop a shock grenade. You can use it to kill all of the sort of small juvies and stuff on the right hand side, which we'll show you. But yeah, overall I've been enjoying playing these. This is the 5th hive we've mastered in this operation. There's one more for the challenge. And then I think we'll get the Niles drop shot skin, I believe. And you can see here that one single swing of the pipe helps them bleed down. So if you didn't know, this has pipes in it. It's pretty interesting, and there is lots of content in the game. I know a lot of people say Gears 5 doesn't have like the most crazy variety of content, or the most amount of content they've ever seen, but there is a lot in the game, and I do enjoy mastering these hives. I'm not a big fan of pushing for the super top scores. I just enjoyed to master them once, and then once I've mastered them, I'm out. This section here, you can also play as Cole, obviously. I mean, this isn't a specific combo you have to play as, it's just what we tried and it worked. This area with Cole, obviously, and all of the juvies, mean that you can just effectively run up the stairs and chain reaction everything with his Explode on Death card. In here, you're going to see some pipe ammo, you're going to see a few buzz kills. I basically just found it to be very comfortable to play Emil because he has the stim. I'm level 16, so the only card I'd really recommend are obviously... Emil doesn't really have sort of a lot of excess cards. You kind of just put all the cards on he has, like the melee damage, the bleed, you know, big knife or whatever it's called, and you can just play very, very slowly. Again, the only areas you're going to have to watch out is when there's a couple of Amargos, because they can freeze you, and obviously when you're frozen, with it being on masters, you just get one shot instantly. Also to note, if you do make it to this area, you know, as long as if you make it to the first checkpoint, it doesn't matter if 2 people die, as long as if one person gets to that end checkpoint door, you will respawn. Now obviously it's on masters and it has Iron Man, so if you alter die, you won't be respawning back at the checkpoint. But, you know, once you just try and make it to the checkpoint, that's sort of your first mission. And it's as it says, it's a melee brawl. That's all it's to do with is melee, back off, try wait for your stim to regen. Here, we're just trying to basically play around in the Venom because, well, we've got Lanny, we've got Mac, they're doing more damage in the Venom. I've obviously, you know, I've dropped the pipe, and I did make a mistake here. You can see that's the one mistake. You hop over into an Amargo that freezes you, you are just one shot. That will happen if you overextend a little bit, so don't do what I did there. That was a bit daft. But, you know, with Lanny's cards, with the pipes, she's great with a breaker mace, and I think even the pipe may count as a breaker mace because I believe Grace's cards also affect the pipes, which, just as a side note, I'm not really that happy that Grace has different abilities and cards in the game. I don't mind characters that have, you know, different sort of unlock strategies, you know. What I mean is some have more difficult totems than others. As long as if you can unlock them, I'm cool. But Grace you have to pay for, and she is actually kind of useful for this hive. So it sucks to see unique kits locked away behind a paywall. I'm not a fan of that, especially inside of a retail game. Even on a free-to-play game, you know, sucks. But on a retail game, that's not great. Basically here I was just asking her, did we want to play around in the Venom a bit more, did we want to wait? She was pinging out some flashbangs, so I took the flashbangs. Yeah, but and there's not real any, you know, there's not any game breaking strategy here, there's not any crazy tips I'm gonna give you. It's just play it slow. Emil with I've got level 1, his level 1 ult every, I think it's 8 seconds is going to regenerate some stim. So it's not like Cole where successful tackles get stim. So basically my job is just to melee. If I've been hit, try get myself into cover, get that stim back, and just to keep applying the bleed. This one is the first hive. I know I'm sure there'll be many others that people will point out in the comments, but this was the first hive where I actually felt Emil was very useful. Emil's useful in some of them, but this one he felt truly useful. So here you can see we flashed the Scion and we both beat him down. That was good teamwork. This was a random person that we're playing with. And it seems to be that if you put your game on Masters and you put like going for top 5% or, you know, going for completion, you seem to get people that know what they're doing a lot more often. The experience with random players in Escape hasn't been that too painful. Because sometimes you'll get people that die once and quit, won't revive you, but generally, yeah, playing on Masters with a title such as looking for help, strategy, something like that, you'll seem to get some good Escape players joining, and this Lanny definitely carried. So the last hive was kind of carried by Cole. This hive is kind of maybe a Lanny dominant one, but anything with melee and bleed is pretty useful. Because they're not dropping ammo. That's one of the mods. You're ammo starved in this. You can see there that my stim regenerates, and you know we're just taking our time. We're killing everything, and basically I feel like the Masters escapes are only difficult when you come to face claw people. If there's no claw people, you're normally okay to take your time. The problem is when there's claw people, you cannot tackle them as Cole sometimes. They one-shot you, so just be wary of the sort of ice Amargos and the claws. That's my only thing. And yeah, Alani's going to help just because of her ult can clear out juvies and chain off them. But yeah, this was a pretty comfortable escape here. You can see Stotty there getting big swings with the mace, and that's what it's all about. It's all about breaker maces, it's all about melee damage. So if you find them, do pick them up. I've got a breaker mace, and again, you know, poppers with ice gonna one-shot you, but we're just keeping our distance, and you can see that the Venom, you know, we're chilling technically in the Venom. It's not doing any damage because we're not in the sort of bright green variant that you can see behind us there of the Venom. Just chill, take your time, and it's going to be relatively comfortable. You don't need to do any sort of play, any strategy. All I would say for this one is quite simply stay together, mark people that you see, and when you can, do the combos such as, you know, melee, hold, execute, you know, or just ping people out and stay together. That's really all there is to it. There's nothing fancy about this hive. If I was to talk about the overall quality of the hives, I think that the quality of the hives has dropped ever so slightly. They've just become more difficult because basically they've put a load of tough enemies or bad situations, meaning, oh, here's like 5 mulcher shielded scions, rather than the hives being difficult or interesting. And I am a big fan of escape mode. I didn't think I would be. When I first tried this mode out, I thought, oh, it sucks, but honestly, very, very enjoyable mode. I wish it was a little bit more in depth. I wish there was more PvE tuning that happened, say, regularly, like weekly, because, yeah, some characters really are very weak, and it would be nice to bring those up. I know the developers have spoke about bringing PvE balancing a bit more to the forefront.
No, he's got a shotgun. Yeah.
But with community managers leaving, devs leaving, studio heads such as Rod leaving, and then them also leaving the tile system. If you didn't know, these maps, or what we'll call escapes, are built off tiles, and then they connect all of the tiles together to form these escapes. That's why the escapes always look familiar but different. So you can see there on the right hand side, that shock grenade is super useful because it's going to kill all of the juvies. So do try find a shock if you can, and also pop your ultimate. You can see Lanny in the back there with her ultimate inside of the Venom chilling. She's killing everybody, just 1v9ing. So that's yeah, I understand that they've moved away from the tile system to make more multiplayer maps because multiplayer people weren't happy with the tile system. It would be nice if the tiles were, you know, a little bit different. It kind of does get boring running around the same tiles. I know they're organised in different ways to make it feel fresh, but if I'm being truly honest, I do think the quality of the escapes has dropped ever so slightly. Let me know in the comments below what you think about that. But I'm still enjoying it because it is difficult. I think anybody that tries this on Masters of any hive will find it difficult, and you'd be very, very good or lucky to pull it off first time, because there is just so much sort of front-loaded damage. You can just be one-shot, and you do need a bit of a strategy. Like here, you know, just be patient. Lanny's going to go to the right-hand side, so I'm going to sort of back her up in case she gets in trouble. I've hit him twice, so I can run off, make him bleed. And then I'm going to pull back to Stotty. You know, just taking cover there, letting myself regen, waiting for stim. So there's little techniques you can do. But I would just say for this one, don't worry about the Venom. Just play it slow. And utilise your melee and your bleed as best as possible. There's not really much else to it, really. It's basically just you probably need to find 2 shot grenades. I think there's the first shot grenade on the right is useful, and then the second shot grenade. So again, just keep an eye out to see if any of the shot grenades drop. But you can probably get away simply with Lanny's ult. Or maybe if you've got a breaker mace with a bit of ammo, you can probably charge the breaker mace when it spawns. You can see here there's a warden behind us. You can just let that die to the Venom, to be honest. There's one here. We just decided to run. It's going to die to the Venom, and if not, you know, you can clear it up later with the bleed. So you see here on the right hand side, Lanny's going to deal with that warden. She's pretty much carrying. There's just one section here. When I pull the door, she's going to plant to the right. You see what she did there? She kind of looked at me to check I was going to press the door. She's going to activate her ult, and that's going to chain off all of the juvies and poppers and just clear them basically for free. You can see how much chains, or how many chains she's getting, and then it's done really. That's the end of the hive. You don't get pressurized. You don't need any extra ammo. So that was the Brawl, Melee Brawl. Leave a like and a comment, as normal. Catch you in the next one.
Look how skin he's got, what a geek. Where's he got that skin? What's that from?